and center of man's creative power is the power of making images or the power of imagination. And on the Art Express, we are always delighted to put your imagination to work. I am Tolokwe Lamidi. Welcome to the show. Foston Gallery, with faces and faces of a sojourner, Laolu Otiko invites us into a 10-year journey of searching, struggle, and self-discovery. The exhibition traces its evolution, the search, the self, and the evolved purpose, each marking a stage in its artistic and personal growth. Let's take a look.
I would say it's a lovely body of work. For a single artist to have this amount of work is astonishing. And all of his work can show you, if you really look at it, you can see the journey and the progress across different years. I think there's a body of work over there that was dated as far back as 2016, I guess. I'm not exactly sure of the date now. But you can tell that he has been consistent. If you look at some of the pieces, you can find elements that are identical and they match each other. I would say Lulu's work is fantastic. All his bodies of work are a masterpiece.
There are some pieces here where I thought of them from like 4 or 5 years before I even tried putting them down. But once I have a thought in my head, it's always there, it's always kicking at me, it's always pulling at me to do it. But to do the actual work, at times, it can take maybe a day. At times, it can take maybe 30 minutes to an hour. But with the paintings, that needs more time, needs more expertise. Then we can do maybe, at times we go a week, at times 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, depending on how deep and how well intended my artistic vision needs to be in it. That's it.
Laolu's work is kind of very dynamic. He's more or less like a multidisciplinary artist. You can see different art styles from digital illustration to the acrylic on canvas. And looking through his pieces, you can see a form of depth whereby all the pieces have a story to tell. There are some that, looking at them, you can see the story and the emotions that they depict, even without looking at the title. So I can say the art is awesome, and it's awesome, and it's also beautiful to see.
More than just a chronological archive, the exhibition is a mediation on what it means to grow, to falter, and to find purpose. Otiko's work carries echoes of his early days sketching on scrap paper, his leap of faith from economics to art, and the relentless experiment that taught him to see every surface as a possible canvas, each one a medium offering a new way to tell stories of becoming. This exhibition as a whole is a testament to the transformative power of art, chronicling a decade of a solo sojourner's path towards self-actualization and spiritual enlightenment.
I give God all the glory for today because he is my son. I am the mother. I have known him to do this since age 2. If you come to our house, Olalua will look at you quietly because it's not a talking time. And he will start with his pencil to draw something about you. Yes. So I'm not surprised that he has done this today. He's a quiet one that things come from within him
And that is the expression of what he has inside that we are seeing today, that he has brought forth. Quiet, unassuming. He doesn't get annoyed. That's what I know about him. So I thank God for today. I don't know. I'm impressed because I was not even thinking of coming, but the siblings said, no, mommy, you have to come now. And entering this place, I just give God all the glory.
The title of my work is Ikendo, and Ikendo in Igbo culture means life force. And I believe that everybody has something driving them. We all have this life force, like keeping us going. Without that, I don't think we'll be standing and waking up to think like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's because of the force, it's because of the life force that we have. It's because of the purpose driving our life, and that is why we are all here. So the staff you are seeing my works holding is representing stamina, and the stamina is representing chi. So chi now in Igbo cosmology is representing one spiritual guide, and that is what we call chi in Igbo. So when you hear chi, it means one spiritual guide or one spirit guide, yes, and that is what the stamina is representing, because in as much as you have all the force to walk, to all the motivation to go through life, we still have that, we still need that stamina from our spiritual source of energy to move on with life. That is why everybody have something tied, and everybody have something that they are doing to spiritually to keep themselves moving and motivated within and not just in the physical. So that is what the staff and the stamina is trying to represent. And then you are seeing the energy, the outburst of energy in the dance. So there is this thing that happens when you see people from your culture dance. There is a muscle memory that you have to join them. And there is this, you start thinking of, you start having nostalgic feelings of how the dance used to be and all that. So I am using dance here as a mirror to culture and as a great tool to cultural preservation and all that. Dance is like a light, like to make us to actually have the sense of what we used to do, and the sense of what we have to be and how we have to preserve. That is why you see people teaching the younger ones how to dance cultural dance. It's not just because the dance is interesting or fascinating, it's because it is a way of cultural preservation, yes. So that is why you are seeing them dancing. And the outburst of energy that comes with the dance is like, that's the energy I am trying to represent there, because the sun is a symbol of energy. Like, let me talk about solar energy and other energy that the sun provides us with. So that is what I am trying to represent with my work.
Aside being our clients, I think that as a creative himself, I very much tie into his work because of how he's detailed his journey over the last decade. And so even outside of the confines of, like hosting this for him or doing all the public interfacing for this event, it is very personal to me how he's expressed what each phase of this journey has been like for him, how he's improved himself, how he's discovered himself, discovered his purpose, like how he's also expressed himself, like, and the things that he was going through with art, and just finding an outlet. I think that creatives finding an outlet is such an important thing for me, and I really, really, really do align with that.
The title of this body of work is I Keep My Visions to Myself, and essentially is an exploration between the physical and the spirit world using Igbo elements of expression. My work specifically speaks on my experience, my own spiritual experience and life as an Igbo woman and my interpretations of it. Specifically. I've been an artist in many ways over the years, but I think with this particular medium, which is incorporating hemp fabric and canvas photo print, it has been about a little bit over 2 years now, but over 10 years as a visual artist. About this was a response to a calling that I had. So I say that I create this work in collaboration with my chief, which is my personal deity. And I had this need for, as a photographer, you know, you work with print. And I had this need to do more than print. I needed to touch things. And I would say, if you and I were to look back to the times when we were happiest, it's most likely going to be when we were children, when we were doing things, when we were making things with our hands, picking up things. And so I wanted to combine that sort of like childlike need plus I would say my Igbo spiritual rejuvenation, and combine that together to create these pieces.
The title of the 3 works I have on view, one of them is titled As It Is Above, So Below, and another one is titled If My Father's Hands Were Tied, My Hands Will Not Be Tied. And I've been painting for like 8 years now. I studied sculpture in Uniben. I graduated in 2015. So I dabbled in sculpture a bit just after school. Then 2 years later, I went to painting full time. Art to me is a way of trying to make sense of my personal experience, trying to make sense of my own life, and trying to make sense of what I see around, societal issues, economic issues, family issues. And I try to, make sense of all of that using my work as a tool. My works are abstract expressionism, or some people will say figurative abstraction. This simply just means I'm making use of figures, but they are not realism in the sense of I'm copying a photograph. I'm not trying to make them look like realistic, that things that you can picture as a picture, but I'm making use of realistic figures and abstracts. I'm combining the both of them. So in my work, you are going to see the realistic aspects in the figures, then the background and a lot of other aspects of the work are abstract. The thing with art is the more you work, the more you evolve, the more you develop, the more you are better at telling stories that you want to tell. So when I started, I was not painting exactly like this. Although I knew that, okay, this is how I want to work. But this was not exactly what it was. But over the years, I've been able to grow my work. I've been able to grow my practice, and I've been able to evolve in the kind of painting that I make, which is the product that you see right now.
Cole is pleased to present Mining Abstractions, a group exhibition that brings together artists who engage abstraction to decipher cultural codes, histories, and mythologies. Their works deconstruct systems of visual language through mark making, pattern, repetition, and fluid structures. Working across painting, drawing, ceramics, textiles, and design, these artists approach abstraction as a practice of excavation, uncovering layered meanings and reshaping personal metaphors. Some works unfold through delicate meditative marks, others through bold, expressive gestures. Together, these artists expand the language of abstraction, at once personal and collective, historical and contemporary, visible and obscured. Through their material gestures, they engage reshaped narratives of continuity and change.
Well, there are four of my works here, and the one behind me is the elephant child, not be a dwarf. That is the first one. Then there is the second one, which is talking about the night is silent, and the day is great. So in all, when you look at my work, it's more like special notes of expressing some reality around us. And in expressing this reality, I try to clothe them in a manner that we will exercise the special part of ourselves, which is that deepness. And the deepness, I mean, is that being thoughtfulness, being so deep into going into yourself to ask a lot of questions within, And so I clothe some of the works in colors, in lines that come like kind of web, which also signify the interlays and complications in our life.
We are here today at the opening of Co's exhibition, Mining Abstractions, and it's a group exhibition that includes 14 different artists who work across painting, sculpture, design, mixed media, and they are all looking at ways approaching abstraction in unconventional ways. So thinking about how to use elements of abstraction in their work to think about different cultural codes and histories and mythologies, and really dissecting that through their work. Yeah, I think right now it's a very exciting time for the Nigerian art scene, for the Lagos art scene. We've seen sort of a whole cultural renaissance in the past 10 years of different galleries, art spaces opening, and a whole new generation of artists coming out and creating really new and exciting work.
Welcome back. The Weight of Disposable Dreams is a solo exhibition by Nigerian artist Adetokunbo Adetuyi, held at the Art Gallery, Lagos. Now, this exhibition featured art, primarily abstracts, created from reimagined plastic bags, which the artist used to explore themes of human consumption, desire, necessity, and the weight of our aspiration and excesses. Let's go there.
The materials that are being used are very unique. It's something that has never been seen before. A lot of artists tend to use like different materials that are accessible to them, also to save costs. But this is a material that is accessible to everybody, and to have this kind of thought and being able to bring different pieces of plastic and to merge them and create beautiful artwork is extraordinary.
The weight of disposable dreams gathers the fragile traces of plastic bags and wraps, treating them not as waste, but as witnesses.
It would be cliche to say art is a way of life, because it is, but art is everything. Art is what you breathe, art is what you sleep, art is what you see and what you do. In everything that you do, there's a little bit of art in it, regardless of how little it is or how how much less of a value you might put on it, but like art is very valuable in any circumstance.
As someone with plastic bags some years back, I started to use them to create abstractions on canvas, right? But as I continued to use the bags to interact with them more, they became more than just bags to me. They became symbols or representations of our aspirations in life, our dreams, things that we aspire to get and all that. So I explored the philosophy of plastic bags a bit more and decided to tell the stories of the human condition and experience with the bag.
Some have traveled through countless hands and markets, others remain untouched, holding the weight of journeys never begun. Each speaks of desire, of commerce, of excess, of the fragile rhythm of use and abandonment.
This one, for instance, is titled "Wade in the Water." A lot of the titles I got them after completing the piece, and the piece spoke to me, and then they're abstract works, but they still connect, with something in the human being, right? So at the time I completed this piece, this central part appeared like a river or a waterfall, or even Moses wading through. I'm going through the Red Sea, right? And for me, what this is a meditation in progress or forward movement, right? And you can assume that every person is a Moses in their own life, You're a Moses in your own Red Sea, moving forward. And I think that's what everybody hopes to achieve, right, in life as a person. Now, this piece, I like to describe it from here. Some of the pieces I use there, they're very personal. They're things that they were bags that I acquired at different times in my own personal journey as a human being. So at the time that this is a Miniso Japan bag, for instance, and that means that at this time we went to a Miniso shop and acquired something and bought something. The Japan on the Miniso is deliberately, the N on the Japan is deliberately covered to give you Jakwa. Jakwa signifies a people running away from something or moving away from a place. And it doesn't have to be a geographical location, it could be a mental place. You just think that life is hard for you or something, and you're trying to run away from something. So you're either trying to run away from a place or you're trying to run away from yourself. But this piece is supposed to be a prayer, that at the time that you're trying to run away from yourself or from a place, you get a sign. So these formations, they look cloud-like. And what happens when clouds gather is that rain then falls. When rain hits the ground, vegetation grows. You have grasses grow, crops grow. So you can eat. When you see the green of the land, then you appreciate the good of the land.
Here, fragility becomes permanence, waste becomes beauty, absence becomes presence. These works invite us to look again at what we consume and discard, and to sense the hidden stories and dreams folded into even the simplest materials.
This one has a cactus, and the cactus is representative of everybody looking at the piece. So you are the cactus, I'm the cactus, right? I'll tell the story. If you look at this piece, it gives you it gives the appearance of. You could assume that this place looks like a desert, and that this is an oasis of water in the middle of the desert. But those things are not just physical things, they're representative of something. I call it a story of opposites. So you could assume that this is when you have water, where you have water physically, and where you don't have water. That could mean maybe a time of dryness in your life and a time where there's something, where there isn't dryness. Or a time where you have money, a time where you don't have money. A time where you have people who love you around you, a time where you don't have people who love you around you. So whether harsh or nice condition, remain like the cactus. The cactus is a sign of resilience. It tries to stay consistent. It tries to grow even when the weather is, the season is dry or the season is ready. It tries to grow. It attempts to stay alive. So this was meant to be a sustainability-centered piece, right? It was supposed to spotlight the effect of plastic bags on water bodies and the environment. At the time I completed it, however, it had a slightly different appearance to a friend. She felt it looked like a diseased or budding organ, like a diseased kidney, right? And I think that added to the narrative, where you could tell about the fact that plastics generally are not just affecting our environment, they're also affecting us as human beings, our internal organs and what have you. So that's basically the summary of this piece.
What makes it different for me is just to see how such beauty can come out of the things that we see as waste. In almost every African home, you would have that bag of bags. We just keep dumping the bags inside this one particular bag.
and we end up not really even using the bags. We end up throwing them away. And we know how even the nylons never really disappear from the surface of the earth. We know how much havoc it causes. So it's just very, very beautiful and impressive to see such pieces being created out of the things we see as waste. Apart from viewing the art pieces, I love how the artist has been able to bring life into it from the stories behind each piece. So beyond viewing the pieces, I want people to connect with them, because every art piece has a story behind it, and your story is definitely connected to it.
Wow, wow, wow. Now, truly, art takes skills. It's a daily expression of creative skills and imagination. It's about producing works that are appreciated for those that beauty and emotional power. Now, this is where we'll be wrapping it up today on the Art Express. Special thanks to you for tuning in, and have a beautiful day.